Before we talk about the penis issue, let me just say that I am not a Taylor Swift hater. Although I don't listen to her music very frequently, I like some of her tunes, particularly the 1980s guitar vibe of style. People who are overly preoccupied with this woman's creative output are not deserving of my anger. If you want to be a Swiftie, go ahead. Do you want to be one of those parents who say, "I wasn't a Swiftie until I paid $4,000 for my daughter to attend a Swiftie concert? I now adore her for the Eras show." Go crazy once more. You play your stuff, I play mine. With that in mind, I'm not foaming at the mouth to tear Taylor Swift into sparkly, glittering pieces in this review. With open arms and fresh ears, I approach her most recent album, The Lukewarmly Received The Life of a Showgirl. Because I've just learned that Swift's new opus includes a track called Wood, I might even say that I'm looking forward to this solitary listening party. One of the most influential grunge anthems of the 1990s, Alice in Chains' Wood, is asked to be covered. That's not the same song, it's spelled differently. The subject of this Wood is Chiefs tight end and celebrity Travis Kelce, who is Swift's fiancé. It's all about his hog, to be precise. Today, popular music has a long and veiny history of songs that are phallocentric. Hundreds of these songs are attributable to Gene Simmons alone. Therefore, Taylor Swift is not breaking any new ground by writing a love letter to her man's dig ol' bick. However, when you take into account that Swift's discography is practically a genre of its own, and when you think about the subjects she typically covers, which are those that she would, which should have aged out of decades ago at the age of 35, is an entry into a daring, engorged new field for our princess. With this in mind, I chose to listen to this song without looking at the lyric sheet to see whether its phallic themes would be obvious to me. After that, I re-listened with the lyrics to see if it increased the song by 10% to 20%. This is the lyric-free embed, I don't despise this. I'm dancing from the beginning because the first few bars of Wood sound like the Jackson 5 from the 1970s. Taylor Swift's singing voice has always been a good match for her writing and production, even if it's never been anything notable. Here, the same is true. I'd have a great time with this song if you played it at a wedding, which is so outrageous. Wood lacks a genuinely unique chorus hook, the kind that bores into your head and remains there for the duration of your life. Shake It Off. It has a more atmospheric feel than a song. However, it has a pleasant tone that is consistent with the remainder of Swift's work. Now it's time for the bad stuff on offense. And I'll admit that I've been a little superstitious, kid. Keep your fingers crossed until you hold my hand. It would seem that you and I create our own fortune. All good is a terrible sign. I don't have to touch wood. Despite the fact that I'm not an English teacher, I can still comprehend this passage quite well. She was a bit concerned that Travis would be a bad lay. However, Tay-Tay understood she had nothing to worry about this evening when his Kansas City Chief rose up. Being a dud. Big Chief energy. I apologize for the arrogance. There, I think I detect a pun. He mattified me, Then I opened my eyes. Just for the meme lovers out there, our girl is seen here inserting a self-censored version of dickmatized into the song. Changing dickmatized to, matized on paper is wordplay that would make even an Irish seaman grumble. However, when singing, the showgirl knows how to deliver it in a way that makes it clear she knows she's being foolish. It's the kind of family-friendly entertainment that Swift has always excelled at. I despise this joke on principle, but I've spent too much time dissecting this couplet. Let's go. Redwood tree. It's not difficult to tell. His love was the key. That widened my thighs. Now she's 5% closer to a Madonna song, all right. Start small. I don't need to get the bouquet, ladies. To know that a hard rock is approaching. Hold on, are you saying that these two are engaging in premarital intercourse? Is there anything that is holy? I'll confess that I've been a bit superstitious as a kid. Your magic wand snapped the spell that had been placed upon me. I believe you understand. Travis Kelce's sexual prowess is celebrated in Wood, which is enjoyable but not very memorable. When contrasted with the remainder of Swift's oeuvre, it is just that. Without the backstory, which someone, me, would have to tell you, you would never be able to see the raunchy parts on their own. You can now gasp and giggle for a few minutes after learning the background and that Travis Kelce is well endowed before moving on. Because, despite all of Swift's abilities, provocation is not one of them. The entire notion of provocation, in fact, has been decimated in recent years by comedians, journalists, politicians, and Bill Maher's who believe that being saying some racist st is all that a provocateur does. A skillful provocateur, like Madonna in her prime, will make you furious while also forcing you to consider the reasons for your rage. In order to redefine art as a whole, they force it outside of the established norms of acceptable taste. In 2025, Sabrina Carpenter has demonstrated that she is one of the few pop singers who knows how to accomplish this effectively. For all time, Taylor Swift has been one of our safest artists, and she now intends to stir things up by using her boyfriend as her main weapon. She doesn't have it in her. However, she has Travis within her, and on that point, I believe we can all be pleased for her. I'm formally quitting as a Swiftie. I've been a Swiftie for a large portion of my life. The first CD I ever had was the Target Deluxe edition of Taylor Swift's Speak Now, and I'm not lying when I say that I grew up with her. When I was a teenager, I practiced driving about the neighborhood while listening to Reputation and Lover non-stop. My roommate and I had a Swift-themed party in college that grew so large that it was broken up by visiting Naval Academy midshipmen. The past 4 years have been a veritable embarrassment of riches for Swift fans as she moved from staging an indie comeback to releasing her Taylor's version. From her master's project and quest to a groundbreaking trip around the world, she has kept putting out fresh tunes. However, at some point, perhaps when she became a billionaire or when she broke so many chart records that they all started to become hazy, she lost the secret ingredient that made me interested in, moved by, and empathetic with her after getting close or starting a relationship with a famous football player. I used to stay up late at night to be among the first to hear her new albums, but the debut of I Nearly Missed the Life of a Showgirl on October 3rd. Taylor Swift is more popular than ever, but I've had enough. Her writing has declined. The finest of Swift's songs are those to which the audience can relate, where they can picture themselves in Swift's shoes and assume that they are the main character. When she's at her best, Swift is as much a storyteller as she is a songwriter, capable of producing evocative, precise lyrics about common human experiences, millions of girls screaming out the breakup song for the whole 10 minutes, or becoming as captivated by the romance of love as the main character in Love Story. All too well, 10-minute version, to wash themselves with a good cry. When Swift first started out, her songwriting talent was paired with album releases that had a clear point of view. Red is about a breaking up as a part of it, but it's also about growing up and living in environments where older people look down upon you. In addition to being about being disliked, Reputation is about the individuals who support you despite criticism. Midnights had a self-aware and reflective tone, with Swift working through her past, even though it included some of Swift's more cringeworthy lyrics, vigilante shit and karma. From a perspective that is older and wiser. Swift's narrative clarity began to deteriorate with The Tortured Poets Department in 2024. It was simply too lengthy at 31 tracks for a double album. Without a doubt, there were threads to follow, such as falling in love, falling out of love, and the mounting pressure from fans and opponents for her to produce her best work. It was unfocused. Furthermore, it was the first Swift album on which almost every song had at least one lyrical dud. See, the title tune, The Life of a Showgirl, is even worse. I scratch your head, you fall asleep / like a tattooed golden retriever on the title track. In spite of its jewel-toned, beaded, feathery aesthetic, the album is far from flashy, rather, it has a hard time being anything at all outside of that. The Life of Taylor Swift has fewer songs that explore more nuanced emotions beyond simply being smitten with a new lover. It's hard to ignore that she's singing all of this about Travis Kelce, given how famous she is. Particularly when she's singing about his redwood tree. However, The fact that she attempted to reheat Sabrina Carpenter's nachos using light-hearted, phallic humor is not the real issue. The worst of Swift's songs are those in which she is too engrossed in the Taylor Swift mythos to be able to connect with her audience. In Cancelled, the Swift tale of beefing with Kim Kardashian and Kanye West back in 2016, or of being friends with Blake Lively during a due to the high visibility of the legal dispute, any universality the song may have is obscured. It's all about the Taylor Swift experience, not the human experience. It's a big issue for a person whose brand is based on relatability. The issues with billionaires. The cracks in Swift's girl next door persona began to appear on Tortured Poets, and they completely opened on the life of a showgirl. Swift single-handedly alters the economics of nearly anything she touches, including whole areas she visits, as well as significant institutions like the NFL. The fact that she was engaged to Kelsey turned into an unofficial holiday for advertisers, who rushed to take advantage of the positive atmosphere. Despite being incredibly wealthy and well-known, she continues to write songs as if she were a typical Pennsylvania girl. For example, in $H$T, she asserts that she is unlike the majority of women because she writes about her desires. She wants a simple house in the suburbs and a ton of children, not riches. Not the sort of things you would expect to hear from someone who could afford to purchase the entire block. A song like $H$T might be said to have a kernel of universality. Yes, there are lots of women out there who would rather have a wonderful love than a mansion or a private plane. By the way, Swift already owns both of them. However, in the last 2 years, Taylor Swift, the billionaire, cannot be overlooked since her every action has made news. Swift's persistent assertion that she is the girl next door is inconsistent with reality and gives her music an artificial air. Taylor, take a break, please. I've stood up for Swift in the face of several critiques of her business approach. I never thought the Taylor's Versions project was a way for her to make money. Rather, it seemed like a sincere effort to re-examine, enhance, and reclaim her previous work. However, there have been many vinyl and CD exclusive versions of Swift's most recent albums, her theatrical releases, her coffee table books, and other merchandise since then. I'm not paying $20 for a movie ticket in this economy to view an 89-minute advertisement for The Life of a Showgirl. This week, Swift released a 6-part Disney Plus documentary series about the conclusion of the Eras Tour, giving Swifties another opportunity to profit from their obsession. However, I feel like I'm just purchasing hype when all of her products are made to push music that's a long cry from her best work. From a fan's perspective, it seems like she's trying to squeeze every last cent out of me. The fact that she's already a billionaire doesn't help matters. All I want right now is for Swift to follow the lead of many overworked professionals and take a break. Spend a few years engaging in common activities like getting married, going on vacation, and spending time with your friends and family. It's possible that I'll be prepared to rekindle in a few years. I would be delighted to rejoin the group for a fearless 20th anniversary tour or an experimental album with a new sound, the jazzy tone. False God may be a good place to begin. As a longtime Swiftie, I'm just too worn out to keep up right now. Showing that she's also weary would be the most relatable thing Swift could do. In The Life of a Showgirl, Swift expresses a lot of sorrow. Without the periodic "I just broke up with my ex" or "I am so," the world of music would not be what it is now. Although this kind of sound is common in love songs, repeatedly spamming it gets old. The Life of a Showgirl, Taylor Swift's most recent album, features most of her tracks rehashing the same themes of a woman longing for disregarding the actual strength that a woman possesses on her own. They discover themselves in the position of a man. Swift's genuine sentiments about being in the popular spotlight are expressed in the remaining choices. The album cover for Swift features a distorted collage of her likeness, with her face covered in makeup and barely dressed. What worries me is that the hypersexualization of the celebrity might give younger fans the idea that this is the norm. How women should present themselves to the world. Even before hearing the album, I had the impression that Swift's cover art alone missed the mark. The Fate of Ophelia is the first track on the album. The story of Shakespeare's Hamlet character, Ophelia, is depicted in this song. Ophelia has a sad end in the play, unable to be with the person she loves. Despite Swift's efforts to alter Ophelia's destiny, the central idea of the song is a woman who has lost herself and is unable to go on in life without being in love with someone else. The incorrect conception of what love is can be harmful to all Swifties, particularly the young females who are only now beginning to experience emotions and crushes. Be significantly affected by the subliminal message in Swift's music. Elizabeth Taylor, the second song, explores similar themes, beginning with the tale of a woman who believed her true love would remain. However, all the right guys promised they'd stay because Swift's life in the spotlight is under bright lights, but they quickly withered away. The pity party is highlighted in those lines. Despite appearing to be in a genuinely joyful relationship with Travis Kelce, the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, Swift is really throwing for herself. Swift's songs, which appeared to match her current ones, were improved by what seemed to be a fresh relationship with each album she released. On her desire to be desired by another person. Father Figure and Eldest Daughter are two additional tracks on the list. The various experiences Swift had earlier in her musical career are the only thing these songs are about. The reality of what it means to be famous, that one must give up one's innocence and freedoms in exchange, is revealed in these two songs. Of celebrity, the topics are more dignified and teachable when dealing with the most sought-after ways of life in society. In front of a camera lens all the time. This makes me think of her song Cancelled, which gives listeners the impression that she is experiencing the stresses of popularity. Swift says that she is weary of being the center of attention and desires a more secluded existence, despite the fact that she is walking on eggshells. The music she creates and the people she surrounds herself with seem to reflect someone who criticizes celebrity culture for intruding on her daily existence, which will simply keep bringing her media attention. Pick me, choose me, it yells. The album concludes with The Life of a Showgirl, which includes pop diva Sabrina Carpenter. Swift's implementation of another popular musician, which gave her monochromatic sound intriguing flares, makes this one of her better tracks on this record. Swift's previous albums, such as Red, were seen by the public as reflecting her intense emotions and mood swings as she coped with one of her purported 13 breakups throughout the years. Nonetheless, since Swift says that she has now found peace with Kelce, her songwriting needs to change. Although The Life of a Showgirl album certainly wasn't Swift's greatest effort and shows a decline in her creative output, the good thing for her is that at rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. The themes of Swift's music must change before the public loses interest, the old must go, and the new must come in.